I stayed at the recently renamed Rixos Al Mairid in Ras Al Khaimah. I say renamed because when I originally booked it, it was the Hilton Rask Al Khaimah. Rixos took over it from July of 2024. The Rixos is located in an isolated part of Ras Al Khaimah with not much around it. I guess that's the whole point of staying at one of these resorts where you have everything you need within the resort. There is another Rixos resort nearby called Rixos Al Bahar. As we arrived by hire car, we made use of the complimentary valet service. You can self-park your car nearby if you wish. As the car park is near the entrance, you can also make use of the car if you wanted to leave the resort during your stay. Upon arrival, you are welcomed by staff who will take your luggage and give you a luggage tag which you can give to the check-in staff. The main entrance to the lobby is via this spinning door. There are also additional side entrances with regular doors if you don't want to use these doors. First impressions of the lobby was that it was huge. I didn't see any signs of the former Hilton branding, so it looks like they've managed to scrub any trace of Hilton ever being here. Check-in was relatively straightforward. I did inquire about the possibility of paying for an upgrade, but unfortunately the hotel was fully booked due to UK half-term holidays. I did notice that, like myself, there were many other Brits here. One of the great things about the hotel was that they would set up things in the lobby like this sweet stall for kids. There was even something for adults like Arabic tea and dates. Once checked in, you proceed to the front entrance where golf buggies are readily available to whisk you to your room. This was absolutely essential for those staying in the villas dotted around the resort. You never had to wait more than a few minutes for a buggy. When you needed to go the opposite way from your room to the lobby, you could simply hop into any passing buggy with space. Our room was located on the first floor of this block. There were a total of 4 rooms per block. We were booked into a 2-bed room. It was spacious and had a very Malaysian chalet feel to it. It did not feel like you were in the UAE at all. There was a balcony overlooking the hotel grounds. Again, the greenery of the grounds made it feel like you were in a more tropical climate than a desert. Back to the room itself, the beds were comfortable and were equivalent to a king-size bed in the UK. There was a modern TV above the desk in the room. However, it was let down by whatever system the hotel was using as the interface. It was unresponsive and barely usable. Below the TV was a minibar that was stocked to begin with. However, we found out throughout the stay it did not get restocked even after we asked for it to be restocked. There was a lot of inbuilt storage space as soon as you entered the room. This was useful. They also included a few robes as well as an ironing board and iron. To the left on one of the shelves was an electronic safe. Opposite the storage area was the bathroom. This consisted of a double sink vanity area, toilet and bidet, a shower and a bath. The bathroom was clean and included enough towels and toiletries. However, the main point of a bathroom was to be able to use the shower, which was very difficult to use. The controls did not give consistent hot water and was either freezing cold or scaldingly hot. I reported this to housekeeping many times, but it wasn't fixed. I eventually found my own fix by finally adjusting the controls until I got a decent temperature. I had to do this before anyone stepped in the shower. A luxury resort like this should not have basic issues like this. The last thing that left me with literal headaches was this lighting fixture, which I bashed my head into several times. Talking of lights, one of the nights the power went out completely. We reported this and it was eventually fixed later, but it was such an odd thing to happen at a 5-star resort. The next part of this review will cover the dining options available in the resort. Rixos is well known for its extensive dining options at many of its all-inclusive resorts. This is one of the reasons why I decided to stick with it after I found out that Rixos took over it from Hilton. I thought it should only get better from here. The first dining option is the main buffet restaurant that you'll visit on most occasions. This is found from the lobby down a set of stairs. The restaurant is called Turquoise. You'll be asked for your room number before you enter, after which you can sit anywhere. We always managed to find a seat despite the hotel being at full capacity. In terms of food options, there was the usual selection of hot foods like rice and curry, fried chicken, soup, a selection of bread, and even some grilled meat options at the only live cooking station in the restaurant. There was a cold meat section along with a section for fruit and veg as well as dessert options. For breakfast you had enough of a variety to keep those that love a full English like me happy. Stuff that one would expect at any all-inclusive restaurant. What was missing was any kind of food themes for each meal. Every meal was essentially the same as the last one, with maybe some slight variations in the live cooking station part. Drinks were ordered via waiting staff when seated, but it wasn't always clear who was covering what area. It always seemed to be a bit disorganized. For kids there was a separate area, but the selection wasn't great even for kids. I was expecting maybe some burgers, chips and other kid-friendly items, but instead I got this. Considering most of the kids at this resort were British kids, the foods here were more for European children's diet rather than a British one. What was welcome for kids and grown-ups alike was the ice cream station, but disappointingly it was the only place in the resort you could get ice cream. All in all, the main restaurant was a mixed bag. I expected better given the reputation of Rixos resorts. One of the things Rixos resorts are known for are their multiple restaurants at a resort. That was the case here too. However, you need to book them in advance at the excursions desk in the lobby. The website lists a total of 4 restaurants and 5 bars. When I visited in November 2024, the only restaurants that were open were the Turquoise one, which I've just shown you, and 2 others. Several were either closed, being refurbished, or opening soon. That's one of the restaurants, the Toro Loco, and above it you've got the Arifa Bar and Terrace. The Toro Loco Steakhouse is open for lunchtime snack items and evening a la carte. Despite it being empty, they still required a booking. As it was empty, I checked out the part of the restaurant that has pool water up against the window, making for quite a statement, more so during the night when it's lit up. We sat outside and scanned a QR code to view the menu. The good thing about the menu is you can order whatever you like in any quantity you like. Ignore the prices as it's all included as part of your stay. Can't remember what we ordered, but this is the type of food that the kids liked and wanted from the main Turquoise restaurant. Our second visit here was during the evening. Again, this had to be booked, but for the evening I could understand why, as it was quite busy. There was a separate evening menu and it included a number of items. This time though, not everything was included as part of the all-inclusive menu. However, I found it enough for us to get a taste of what they had to offer. Again, it was actually enjoyable and I would book this restaurant again if I was staying here longer. The other restaurant we visited was the Orient. This was a Turkish-themed restaurant located on the far side of the resort. In fact, it was actually closer to our room than the main building where the steakhouse was located. Again, if I haven't already said it enough, this needs booking in advance and you can only book any of these restaurants when at the resort. I tried booking in advance of my stay and they wouldn't accept it, which I found a bit annoying. What made it worse was that you had to book some of them in the morning for an evening booking. There was no electronic booking system either. It all had to be done in person at the lobby. This restaurant was pleasant and had a nice family feel to it. Not sure how Turkish it felt, but I didn't mind as long as the food was nice. We were taken to our table at the far end of the restaurant. When we arrived, it was fairly quiet, but it did become busy later on. Like the steakhouse, there was a menu which can be found via a QR code. The menu felt like it had more items than the steakhouse, with no exclusions. Here's a few shots of what we've ordered. The food here was of high quality and presentation. It even tasted good. I think the adults enjoyed this more than the kids though. Even though the portions may look small, it was actually quite filling, and there was nothing stopping you from ordering more if you wished. There were 2 other places that I managed to use, although they weren't full restaurants and didn't require booking. First was the Dome Cafe, which is located in the lobby. Here you can order tea, coffee, milkshakes and mocktails. It was a nice place to relax and enjoy the regular live music they had on. It was never crowded and always had plenty of seating available. The only other place that I managed to use was the Sol Bar. This is located on the other side of the resort and was actually closer to our room. Here it was a different story in terms of being crowded. As this was the only place you can get drinks on this side of the resort, it was always crowded. I managed to find seating on one of the days. It's treated more of a beach club by people who set up their towels and lounge around all day in one spot. I managed to bag one of these cabanas very early one morning and used it for a few hours. It was actually quite nice, so if your room is near this part of the resort, I would recommend using one of these for a few hours at least. There was one other place near the lobby that looked like it was open but had no staff around. It was called the XO Bar. It's meant to be a smoking bar, and from the smell I could tell it definitely had been smoked in. Unfortunately, I didn't get to try anything out here as it looked closed despite the opening time saying it's open from 6 PM to 2 AM. There was one last bar, but I'll talk more about that in the next part of this review about pools. I'll start off with the pools that were near our room as this resort has multiple pools, so I want to make sure I cover all of them. The pool next to our room was very family friendly. The height of the small pool was very shallow and suitable for toddlers. It was covered by a sunshade allowing for kids to use it all day, even during peak sunlight. There was a second pool behind this which was slightly deeper but not by much, meaning most kids and teenagers will be fine here. There was always a lifeguard around who were replacing towels on lounge chairs with fresh ones. This somewhat resolved the age-old problem of people leaving towels to reserve lounge chairs. The next pool was the one that can be found next to the sol bar. Again, relatively shallow for most kids, although maybe not for toddlers. The main pool is near the lobby, and to be honest, that's where I spent most of my time, as I'll explain why. The main pool is designed in a nice way to segment it so that there are several small pools all eventually connecting to one main pool in the middle. The heights of the smaller pools were shallow, making it perfect for kids, while the bigger pools were only slightly more deeper, but still suited for kids. It does feel like the pools were designed with children's heights in mind. One of the pools, one of many, and this is one of the main pools. One of the best features of the main pool and why I spent so much time here was this swim up bar. I thought it would be a novelty that would wear off quickly, but it was actually genuinely useful for adults and kids alike. The kids and I enjoyed getting a drink or two to drink by the bar itself or take back to the lounge chair, of which there were plenty. The only downside was it didn't serve any kind of food or snacks. In fact, there was not a single outdoor space that served any kind of food. You had to get changed in order to get food from one of the indoor places, which in my opinion is a huge gap in Rixos' offering, considering this is meant to be an outdoor resort. The sol bar shown earlier had no food either. I also saw this bar that was closed, which was starting to become a trend at this resort. Not to dwell too much on that though, as there are still some good points about the pool and outdoor area. Near the main pool you'll also find several games areas for football and a football table tennis type of game. There's also a water sports company located on the resort beach. I didn't make use of their services, but they had fixed prices which saved you having to haggle, which can be a pain sometimes. There were other pools, but it was very underused. I couldn't work out why until I saw this sign. It does seem a bit of a waste really, as most of the people staying here were families with children. Fortunately, there was a pool dedicated solely for kids. This is also the only pool with a slide and can be found at the Rixie Kids Club, which my youngest loved. More on that later. One last point about pools before I talk about the beach is that they aren't temperature controlled. Therefore, in the winter, I can imagine some of them might be too cold to use. If you get fed up of the pools, you have a huge beach on your doorstep. Now, I've been to other beaches in many different countries. What makes this one different and unique was that the water was actually warm. So the quality of the sand is amazing. When it's clean, soft, perfect really. And probably the first time ever, but the actual seawater is warmer than the swimming pool. It's like a hot bath. So yeah, even though the water isn't like blue like you get in the likes of like Turkey and Greece, it is still nice and clean. And the best thing about it is it's warm. It's very warm. It's nice to just jump in without any hesitation that you're gonna be in shock from the cold. Actually, the water is quite rough here. The good thing is where we just were, which is just here, it's all sheltered. It's a sheltered lagoon essentially. You can see from here just how large the private beach of the resort is. Again, the kid-friendly nature of the beach was helped by the fact that it was very shallow and didn't become extremely deep for quite far out. So these cabanas are dotted all around. Basically, they are reserved for certain rooms. So there's a sign there saying what room it's reserved for. I believe this is the private pool. So some of the villas have a private pool attached. It's really a plunge pool. It's not really private though, as it's kind of like you've got people like me walking past. But it's there, I guess, solely for their use. One of the best times I had at the beach was swimming during sunset. The water was even warmer from the day's sun and it wasn't crowded. Not that it even gets crowded really. Due to the orientation of the resort, you get some amazing sunsets from the beach. Now, if you have kids, then this next part will be of interest to you, especially young kids. Rixos have their brand of kids clubs called Rixie. My 7-year-old used this on several days and enjoyed it very much. In fact, it was the highlight of the holiday for her, even surpassing the pools and anything else that was on offer. The facility had an indoor area as well as an outdoor area with pool. They have a schedule of different activities that you can drop your kids off to attend. They can opt in and out of whichever ones they prefer. Kids are signed in and out by parents, therefore there's an extra bit of reassurance with the whole setup. One thing that was appreciated was that the club was closed several times a week for deep cleaning. This ensures that your kids don't fall ill by catching something at the club. For older kids, they have a separate place next to the main buffet restaurant, the Turquoise. This room is targeted for 10 to 70-year-old kids, although they welcome younger kids too. There was a foosball table, pool table, table tennis, and several dedicated booths with the latest games consoles. For teenage kids, this is someplace that they can come on their own and do something a bit more familiar. That's the kids entertained for the day. Now let's talk about the entertainment in general at this resort. First, the good points. There was a lot of live music on all over the place, which was very much appreciated. There were pianists, cello players, and violinists. There was also a magician who went around performing tricks for guests. Oh! And now the bad points. During the night, they used the stage near the main pool to do a night show of sorts. It consisted of mediocre performances. This may be sufficient for kids, and in fact it seemed to be targeted only for kids. I thought that they'd have something for adults after the kids show, which is usually what happens at other resorts. That wasn't the case here. This was a big letdown, especially as Rixos is known for their supposedly amazing entertainment at other resorts. To be honest, some of the reviewers of when this was a Hilton also said that the entertainment here isn't great, so don't choose this resort based solely on that. I saw that they might have some kind of entertainment for adults at the Arilla bar, but it took so long for something to happen that I eventually got fed up of waiting and left. This bar no longer exists according to the website. Now, as I said, you should not choose this resort for the entertainment, but what you should choose it for is the spa facilities. This was some of the best spa facilities that any resort had, according to my wife. In fact, she said it was the best massage she ever had. Within the spa building, there's a waiting area that's designed like a Moroccan riad house. Here you'll find a receptionist who will show you the price list and can book you in. The prices are reasonable and equivalent to the UK prices. You can pay here or get it added to your room to pay at checkout. If you do book a massage, you are welcomed with a cold towel and a drink. The staff then present you with different oils that you can choose from for your massage. While my wife had a massage, I made use of the spa facilities, which are actually open for anyone to use. It was surprising that during my time there, I didn't see anyone. I would imagine that's probably because it's not publicised that it's available and free to use. There's a jacuzzi with space for 4 people. There's also a steam room and sauna. There are no time limits here, and you can spend as much time as you want here, although when by yourself it does get a bit boring quite quickly. The other major facility in the same building is the gym. Let's go check out the gym, which is based in this spa area. The gym was well equipped with several cardio machines as well as weight machines by Techno Gym. The selection for a hotel gym was actually very good, as I've seen other hotel gyms which usually put the bare minimum effort in order to class it as a gym. Rixos has done well here, although part of me wonders if this equipment was actually put in by Rixos or here already when it was a Hilton. Either way, it's available for guests to use with no booking required. Like the spa, it did seem underused and empty. When it was time to check out, you can call for a buggy so that you and your luggage can be collected and driven to the lobby. Checkout was very quick as there wasn't much to do or even pay for, as I hadn't charged anything to the room. I handed my valet ticket to the staff outside, who went and got my car. I probably should have ran the car for a bit before getting in, as it was extremely hot. Overall, my stay at the Rixos Al Mairid in Ras Al Khaimah was generally a positive experience. The resort offers a picturesque setting with spacious rooms, lush greenery, and a tropical feel that sometimes makes it feel like you're not in the UAE. The complimentary valet service and buggy transport system were definite highlights, making movement across the vast resort hassle-free. However, there were several inconsistencies that detracted from the experience. While the resort boasts a variety of dining options, the actual availability of restaurants was limited during my visit. It seems as though since Rixos took over, they haven't quite found their feet yet, with many options either being refurbished or remaining closed altogether. For the options that were open, the booking system could be vastly improved. It's inconvenient to have to rush in the morning to get a spot. The fact that they don't have some kind of advanced booking or even online booking system makes it an inconvenience. Some shouldn't even require booking really, as they weren't that busy. The lack of food options outside is a big letdown. Despite the website claiming that the Sol Bar serves food, in reality it didn't. They need some kind of outside food place so that you can continue using the pool without having to get changed just to eat. Also, some ice cream outdoors would be useful, especially considering there's a large amount of kids here. Room quality was another mixed bag. The beds were comfortable and the room was great, but the malfunctioning shower with inconsistent hot water, slow and unresponsive TV, and the lack of minibar restocking were notable drawbacks. These issues, especially the hot water problem, should not exist at a luxury resort. Entertainment was another area lacking for adults at least. This could easily be improved. It wasn't all bad though. The pools and beach area were a major highlight, particularly the family-friendly pool areas with shaded spots for toddlers. The swim-up bar was a great feature. The beach was another standout with warm waters and a vast expanse of private shoreline, making it an enjoyable alternative to the pools. Ultimately, Rixos Al Mairid has the potential to be a top-tier all-inclusive resort in Ras Al Khaimah, but it still has some teething issues following its transition from Hilton. If they can address the inconsistencies in service, food variety, and facilities, it could truly become a standout resort in the region. Would I stay here again though? Possibly, but only if I knew these issues had been resolved. My advice is to wait until they have fully completed the transition and opened all their restaurants. This shouldn't be too long though, to be fair. Once these are done, I would recommend it, but until then, I would very much consider staying elsewhere.